Hey y'all, welcome to Restless Chipotle Kitchen. I will tell you what, it has been since February since I've been here because I have been traveling. I went to Antarctica, I went to South America, I got to do a bunch of stuff, but I'm back and I'm doing video, and today we are having the most amazing Italian inspired dinner that you can imagine. Let's go make it. This is the easiest eggplant parmesan ever. I don't bread it, so it's keto friendly, and it's great if you're on a low carb diet, or if you just don't want the extra carbs, or if you just don't like breading. It still comes out really flavorful, really tender, really cheesy. It's just delicious, and I know you're gonna love it. So you only need an eggplant, some marinara sauce, mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese, salt, and olive oil. It literally has no other ingredients. That's it. Choose eggplants with a smooth, shiny skin. There shouldn't be any bruising on them, and you want it to be a plain color all the way down. You don't want a lot of blotchy color on it, depending on the variety that you've got. You're going to need at least 2 large eggplants. I have one kind of small eggplant because I'm just making a small amount. So I'm actually kind of halving the recipe today from what's on the blog because I'm only making it for my daughter. But you're going to need more than this, and I will write the recipe with the proper amounts. I just wanted you to know, because you're only going to be seeing me make a small amount. I want you to know that the recipe is written for 6 to 8, I think. Yeah, it's written for 6. So that's what it'll be written for down below. Should you peel the eggplant? I don't peel it. That's totally up to you. I don't think the peel hurts it. If it's gotten really big and giant and overgrown, sometimes the peel is tough and bitter, and then you do want to peel it. But other than that, there's no reason to peel the eggplant unless you just prefer it that way. And then we're going to cut this top off, and we're going to cut the eggplant about like that. Let's see if I can get a thickness for you. You don't want it too thin, but you also don't want it so thick that it doesn't bake. And just about, I don't know, maybe half an inch is right, half an inch thick. And so we're just going to go down and cut the eggplant into rounds, just like that. So easy. So I have been gone for so long, I realized that the last video I did was in February. It's crazy because I actually excuse me, I actually took a cruise to Antarctica, and I was gone for 3 weeks, and obviously I couldn't do video then. And then when we got back, we had the opportunity to go to the Virgin Islands, and so I was gone again. And then, oops, that one's a little thick. If you get a little thick, don't worry about it. And then I went to my son's, and so it's just been me trying to get back in the habit of getting my videos done. All right. I like to just peel, take it all the way down to the end, and then I'll slice this part off, and we'll just have a small piece. I don't like it being rounded. I want them all flat. There we go. Okay, now if you leave eggplant out, it's going to discolor. It's kind of like an apple that way. So you want to get this next part done as quickly as possible. I'm going to use olive oil, and I'm just going to brush the eggplant on both sides with the olive oil. Now, eggplant will kind of soak up the olive oil, so you need to have plenty on hand in case you need it, because you want to get this really good on both sides. And we're just going to brush that on. While I'm doing this, I have the oven preheating to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, and the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to bake the eggplant for just a few minutes to make sure that it's cooked all the way through. I don't know about you, but when I bite into eggplant that hasn't been cooked properly and it's got that spongy texture, I just can't stand it. Eggplant that is cooked the way I like it has almost a custardy texture, and it's so good, so good. Sometimes I cut it super thin and then grill it so it's a little crispy, and I put Italian seasoning on it and a little bit of crushed red peppers, and then I put it in a sandwich and it tastes so good. All right, so we're just gonna, so I turned these over and we're just gonna do the second side. Some people salt eggplant before they cook it. The only reason that you want to salt the eggplant is if you want to make it, you want it to stay crispy. This is not going to be a crispy dish. This is a tender, gooey, comforting, yummy dish. So we are not salting the eggplant. Now I'm going to sprinkle this with salt, if I can find my salt, and just going to give it a good sprinkle. Not too much, just like you would salt anything. You can always salt it later at the table if it doesn't have enough salt for you. I've covered your sheet pan with parchment paper. If you're doing the full recipe with 2 or 3 eggplants, depending, you are probably going to need more than one sheet pan, but I don't think I'm going to need more than one this time. And you just lay those on there. We're going to roast these at 425 for about 10 minutes. Then we're going to flip them over and return to the oven, okay? Because we want to get both sides really cooked. We want these to be really cooked through. So I will see y'all in about 10 minutes. Okay, y'all, this has been in the oven a little more than 10 minutes because I cut some of them pretty thick and I didn't think that they were all the way cooked through. But they are now. It's very custardy. And now I'm gonna turn them over and do the same thing on the other side. And we'll see if I can do this without burning my fingers off, right? Now remember, they were, whew, it's hot. They were oiled with the olive oil on both sides. So there's really no need to re-oil it. And it's on this parchment paper, just so it doesn't ruin the pan. Sometimes this stuff gets a little juicy and the pan really suffers from it. I already did that one, didn't I? Keep track of the ones that you flip, because I don't always. Okay. Did I flip that one? Nope. Okay. So, yeah, I flipped that one. All right. So I'm going to put this back in the oven, and I'll probably check it after about 5 minutes just to make sure that it doesn't scorch or burn or anything. And then we'll get started. While I'm waiting for the eggplant to finish up in the oven, I'm going to grate my mozzarella cheese. Now, a lot of people have asked me why I always say get your cheese in a block and grate it yourself. The reason is that there's a cellulose powder on pre-grated cheese to keep it from sticking together, right? Which makes sense. But the cellulose powder covers the cheese shreds and it keeps them from melting properly. They may melt a little bit, but they're never going to be as ooey gooey melty cheese as if you shred it or grate it from a block. Mozzarella cheese, if you're going to, because it's soft, if you're going to grate it from a block, you almost want to freeze it first or partially freeze it first, have it good and cold so that it shreds easily. I feel pretty lucky here because mine is at room temperature and it's pretty soft and it's still grating pretty good, so I'm happy about that. So you'll just want to grate that up on the bigger grate size and have that ready to go when you assemble the casserole. Okay, here we go. Wow, that's hot. If I can get it on the wood there. I am going to take the part about cooking it till it's golden brown out of the actual recipe, because sometimes it just doesn't get golden brown. You just want it to be cooked until it's mushy in the middle, okay? Kind kind of like the texture of a custard almost. And you can just tell with a knife if it is. The knife will just go through it really fast. Okay, so don't worry about if it's golden brown or not. You just basically want it to be cooked. We're going to move that aside and let it cool down just a minute so I can actually work with it. And we're going to add the Parmesan cheese to the mozzarella cheese. And I should have done it in this one big bowl, so that's what I'm going to do. Because, you know, if I don't use half the plates in the kitchen, it really hasn't been done right? So then you're going to mix it up so that the Parmesan and the mozzarella are all mixed up really well. You can also use like a smoked provolone, or provolone in here is really good. Just any kind of those Italian cheeses that have all of that flavor, you know what I'm talking about. Once we have the cheese mixed, I'm going to spray the inside of this dish. And remember, I'm making a half recipe with the cooking spray. And then I'm going to put about half a cup of marinara sauce on it. Sometimes, well, especially when the kids were small, I used to make this with cooked ground beef between the layers too, and that's really good if you have, you know, if you're big meat eaters in your family. All right, does it touch it? Yes, I can touch it. All right, so then we're just going to lay the eggplant down in a layer, and I'm going to use some of the small ones to go in between and some of the bigger ones to go like that. You just want to fit it in the pan, right? Just like you would do a layer of noodles. Whew, that is kind of hot. There's a little tiny one to go there, there. And we're going to want to put more sauce on it. When the eggplant is in the oven, it does cook a little bit more in the sauce, and it soaks up some of the sauce, so it's really, really good. Okay, have the eggplants all covered with the sauce. And then we're going to put on cheese. And I like a nice thick layer. You do you with the cheese. I mean, you can use less if you watch your cholesterol or fats really closely. You can do more if you really love cheese, whichever way. So adjust it to your own taste. Now we're just going to repeat the layers. So we're going to start with sauce. And I think the sauce is a little harder to put over the cheese, honestly. It doesn't spread quite as well. Okay. And then we're going to put the eggplant over that. And you want to make sure that you have enough eggplant to create a full layer, which mine's pretty skimpy up here because of the size of the eggplant, but it, you know, it works. It can be done. You're going to put another layer of sauce over the top. Sorry, and spread that around. So I'm going to end with this layer of sauce because we're going to put cheese on later, but for right now I'm going to cover this with aluminum foil and stopping with the sauce layer, and then I'm going to put it in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. After that, I'm going to put the cheese on top and let it go for just a few more minutes until the cheese is melted. So I'll see you back here then. Okay, it has been in the oven. Let's take this off. It's hot. And see what we've got. So everything is cooked really nicely. Everything is cooked really nicely. It's very tender is what we want. The sauce that I use seemed to have gotten a little watery, but I think that's going to be okay. Be real careful about the sauce that you use. Some of them are watery, some of them are not. If you find that your sauce creates too much liquid, then you can cut back on the amount of sauce that you use. And honestly, I didn't measure it going in, so there's that. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to put the cheese on in a thick layer. and put it back in the oven uncovered for about 5 to 10 minutes or until the cheese melts. Okay, y'all, I've let this sit for about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer because I got to doing something and got caught up in that and kind of lost track of time. I have my plate of pasta right here because I love this with pasta. And so we're just gonna cut into this, and the eggplant soaked up, you can see it soaked up the wateriness of the sauce. So I'm just gonna cut right in there and pull that up. And right over here. And then I'm gonna get some of the extra sauce and whoops, made that messy, didn't I? Well, I couldn't take a picture of it, but it's good anyway. There, okay. And then I'm gonna get a spoon and spoon some of the sauce on the pasta, and I'll be right back. All right, y'all, look at this. The cheese is, can you see how gooey that is? Oh, so good. And that's after it's been sitting for a while. My hair is driving me nuts. Okay, that's after it's been sitting for a while. Lots of cheesiness, lots of Italian spices and flavor. It is so easy to make. Plus it freezes well. You can make it ahead of time. You can assemble it ahead of time. You can make it, it'll stay good in the fridge for 4 days, definitely. And it'll be great in the freezer for up to 3 months. So you just can't lose with this, okay? Well, I'm glad I'm back, and I hope you're glad I'm back too. I will talk to y'all next time. Bye. Love ya.